And here we are, our amazing Horde of Tales group. Good time zone, everyone. Say hello to our players and our feline guests. Well, hello there, you cute kitty cats. At least one of them is a kitty cat. The other one is trying very hard to be a real kitty cat. Wait, what are you saying, Janstink? You are a real cat? Really? Can you meow like a real cat?
Meow.
It is true. Neon cat. Oh
Don't
no.
be fooled, it is I.
Oh, look, we're all here. Good time zone, everyone. Welcome to today's session here at Horde of Tales. My name is Marcus, also known online as the Chindividual, and I am once again in the company of four fantastic individuals. We have our resident artist and person you should really follow on Twitter because there's some great art being posted there, Serial. Thank you for being here today. We also have in her Captain Marvel shirt today, ready to kick ass, Ida. Thank you for being here as well. Ready with already a cat for cat vantage on his lap and a very beautiful new set of headphones, Austin. Thank you for being here as well. And last but certainly not least, the boss of this entire operation, the one that brought us all together and the one that is still coming here every week to join us in these adventures, Caro. Thank you for being here as well.
And last but not least, we have the very well-fed, just to reiterate, thank you, our TM, for having us here.
Which leads me to today's mystery, and I think I just have to share this here for a moment because I am still baffled by this. I just came back home after just taking out some trash and stuff, and I was fully under the impression that for tonight's dinner, I would have some delicious pasta made by my beautiful wife, but suddenly the doorbell goes, and there's someone with a pizza at the door, which was for me, and I didn't order any pizza, so no one told me who sent me that pizza. I ate it. It was a great pizza, quattro formaggi. That's way too much.
Pizza of which you didn't know where it came from.
I did, yeah. Because
maybe it was poisoned.
I'm either brave or stupid or somewhere in between.
Chat, would you eat pizza if you didn't know where it came from, who ordered it?
Sure. It's at my door. It's food. I'm not gonna question it. I'm a starving artist. If you give me food, I'm gonna eat it.
I don't have the budget to question where my food comes from.
What a prank! See, at least I'm not alone in this. That others would have eaten the pizza as well because it was good. And if you ever want to bribe me with anything, a quattro formaggi pizza is the best way to do that. So
it was a 4 cheese?
It was 4 cheese, yeah.
What's your favorite pizza?
My favorite pizza?
No reason why we're asking.
Well, I mean, 4 cheese would be very much my favorite pizza, yeah?
Oh.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Nice.
Okay, interesting.
What a coincidence.
Enough about my pizza conundrum here. I shall find the mysterious pizza sponsor maybe by the end of the stream. But we're not here to talk about my favorite pizzas and what I had for dinner. We're actually here tonight, or whatever time it is from where you're watching, to do some adventuring. But before we do that, let's do a quick introduction of our channel, because you are here by teleportation mishap or your own free will at the Horde of Tales Twitch channel, where we stream tabletop RPGs. And like every Tuesday, we stream today Convergence, Manifesto, our D&D 5th edition campaign set in Eberron. We are following the adventures of the Convergence Manifesto adventure series, which is written by Across Eberron. And if you would like to run these games yourself or these adventures yourself, you can find them at acrosseberron.com. Thank you, Stream Elements. Such a useful bot. But we are currently in the 3rd chapter, which is called Rime or Reason, and are going to pick up today where we left off last time. We use, as our tabletop, it's a virtual tabletop, we use Astral VTT. The music that you might be hearing in between is by Dark Fantasy Studio, and should you spot any kind of battle maps on stream, those were made in Dungeon Draft. I always mention the battle maps before sessions where there is potentially a battle map, so maybe that's a bit of a spoiler, but I don't care.
Better to be prepared every time.
Exactly.
I just want to.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah, I just want to say something. Ida just sent me a picture of you with this pizza, and you look so happy. It's kind of cute.
It's good to know. Thank you. Thank you. Also, the channel overlay is designed by Caro, and the artwork of the characters that you see is a co-op between Caro and Serial, who have made these cool character portraits for us. Also, we do have channel points that you acquire by watching our channel, and you can spend them on, among others, on Catvantage. Now, this is really the great thing we do here on this channel. We have with Catvantage, if you see a cat on someone's screen, which will most likely be either my screen or Austin's screen, and you do have the points for it, you can click the Catvantage button and give one of these players, including the DM, because people often forget that the DM is a player as well, give them Catvantage, which means that they have advantage on their next roll. So keep an eye on those kitty cats, and Nyanstick, I'm so sorry, one day you'll be a real cat, but not today. On that note, I think that was everything. How about... There's Cat!
And she's hiding.
The black void.
How about we go from those cats over to our intro and then dive right into our adventure? Time to roll the intro.
I shall be so powerful.
And we are back, and we already started with Catvantage for Serial. Thank you very much for that, share. That's a great start to this adventure, and maybe even a very good portent for what will come. Because we're gonna slowly smooth back in to the Convergence Manifesto. Smooth back in. When last we left our adventurers, you had made your way onto the undeniable Madrith the Lyrander's airship on your way to Ice White Isle. Of course, before you got to that ship, you still got some shopping out of the way, some conversations on what might await you on Ice White Isle, and some general preparations. Among those preparations, not just warm clothing, some good tents, but also magical items you might need, and some, well, conversations that you wanted to get out of the way before heading off into another adventure. Once you were ready, you went over to the Lyrander Tower in Sharn, got aboard the Undeniable, and were briefed on the mission by Madrith, who informed you that you would fly for about more than a day towards Ice White Isle, from where you would then continue the last bits of the journey by ship, and then see what you would find on this mysterious ice-covered island. On the ship, Delphine and Madrith had some conversations about why Darien would try to kill Delphine. Delphine had an unexpected visitor in her bedchambers, which led to interesting conversations. And Dythun and Rayn actually had a very interesting conversation over a game of dragon chess in the night. And since we ended last time during that game of dragon chess, in the deep of night, let us pick up this session as the sun has come out again. Or at least what you can see of the sun. The undeniable, graceful and majestic as it is, flies through thick clouds and mist. You can hardly see more than just the edges of the ship while on deck, and there's this ice-cold rain and drizzle that comes down. Some of the raindrops are actually a little bit hardened, not full-on hail yet, but enough of those in between there that you're sometimes surprised that something sharp lands on you if you would cross the deck unprotected. The wood of the ship creaks in the air and under the wind. And all of you might be somewhere aboard the ship on this morning of your journey, approaching your final destination. Adventurers, what are you all up to at this point?
So when you say final destination, you just mean like of this journey, right?
Well, you see, have you watched the movies?
Yes. You're not answering me, so I'm going to take that as a yes.
I consider my smile answer enough.
Bastard.
Ominous.
Dythun at least would probably be like at the front, kind of looking out where we're headed. Just curious, never really being on an airship before.
How long did we expect the trip to last?
26 hours?
About 26 hours, yeah.
Right, a bit more than a day. Yeah.
And by now, all of you would understand that at this time of day, you have been on the ship for about a day, so it should be a few more hours. You haven't heard anything from Madrith or from the other crewmates that the weather was too much against you on the journey here. The fog and heavy clouds now have only formed like about 1 or 2 hours ago. So most of the journey so far has been under favorable circumstances up until now.
If there's a substantial hail or rain, I would kind of pick it up, especially if it's water. I would kind of manipulate it using ship water and kind of amass it into like this nice like head-sized chunk of ice and just lob it over to the side. Because we're over the Thunder Sea at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So just kind of half amusedly making this like cannonball thing and then go like a very, how to say, irreverently throwing giant ice balls into the sea.
Gotcha.
Yeah, from my side, I will be prepping myself as best as I can, like putting the warm clothes on, since we shouldn't be that far from the island anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and well, at this point, avoiding the rain as best as possible, so not going out that much.
Avoiding the rain. The rain, not rain, as good as...
Both. After that, what happened last night, it's like...
Fair.
Best to have, like, some distance at the moment, you know?
Already put.
You're cutting out in between. I think.
Yeah, something's wrong. My camera glitches, and I don't know why.
Yeah, your camera is good. Looks good.
The audio's cutting in and out. Would it be a Horde of Tales stream without technical difficulties?
Oh, good question.
What's Rebus up to? I'm curious.
I want to see if it stabilizes.
This sounds good. This sounds good.
It's okay. It just needed like a couple seconds.
Rebus had to boot up.
I would have put on. Yep. As I'm still booting up and kind of having some trouble moving around after the stiffness of stasis in the night, I would have put on the warm coat that I had used for the previous mission. Now a little bit more familiar with how to put on clothes and properly buckle them and attach them. And I would go to see if I can fetch a warm tea for both me and Dythun, and then I would join the Leonin at the front of the ship. Do not ask me about maritime terms. I don't.
At the boat nose.
The boat nose, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, as
Official
everyone knows, the front of an airship is called the boat nose, and that's where you're meeting up. And Dythun, you were already there, kind of like enjoying the view, or were you doing anything specific while being at the boat nose?
I think just kind of absent-mindedly, like looking in the distance, just kind of taking in this new perspective to him.
Gotcha. And you see Rebus approaching then.
Mm-hmm.
You hear my steps. Hey, Dythun, I brought you a tea to warm you up.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anything in the distance already?
Do I see anything in the distance?
Give me a perception check. And if you want to, Rebus, you can also give me a perception check with Cat Vantage.
I shall.
I don't see anything.
What's your total?
Total 5. With a +4 bonus.
A 22.
Nice.
I rolled a natural 20.
Whew. Nice. The power of Cat Vantage. Rebus, as Rebus asks you that question, you look out ahead, and most of what you see is basically parts of the ship that are still ahead of you from your angle, but mostly clouds. And as you're like peering ahead of you, trying to focus on something, some kind of silhouette that you might see in the clouds and the mist, there's one of those little bits of hail that sometimes comes down, and it just hits you in the face, kind of distracts you, and you really forgot what you're looking at. Rebus, as you ask the question and you look around and you notice then as Dythun suddenly is distracted by being hit by hail, the best you can see, considering these weather circumstances, is that as you look ahead, you see just the vaguest kind of blurry outline somewhere in the mist and the fog. But if you look a little bit down towards the water below you, you can see that the ship is flying over these jagged rocks and jagged bits of ice that come out of the water beneath you. And as you look ever further towards the horizon, you see that these rocks and ice pieces become larger and larger the further you look ahead of you.
I tap Dythun's arm, seeing that he's looking completely in the opposite direction or where anything is.
There's nothing out there. Oh.
And I just point, I essentially point to below the ship. I'm like, oh, look at that.
Oh.
Have you ever seen formations like that before?
I mean, I like I said, I try to avoid the water, but no, nothing like this.
That's quite impressive. How are you feeling about this endeavor?
Nervous isn't the right word, but it's definitely. It seems a lot more grander than some of the things we've done before.
It feels
least-
so dangerous too.
Yeah, like going into it, we know there is immense danger here, not just like the mission you were given to go explore the caves or to go help out at a forge. It's no, go to this very dangerous location and find these people and whatever they were looking for, and they may be dead already. It feels a bit
It is very
like a step up.
uncertain. Yeah. I mean, certainly this is a welcome. It feels very ominous. I think we work well as a group, and we should be able to overcome whatever dangers we might encounter. It's the mystery of it all that irks me. Which, fair, the Valley of the Harpies was also kind of a legend that we weren't looking for, right?
Yeah.
But somehow it felt more tangible than this.
There
At
were.
least we didn't have the added danger of knowing that a previous party hadn't returned, right?
Exactly. It's even when we found the Harpies, we knew, well, we can have conversations with them. These are people, and there's multiple ways out of this. This is just apparent death.
Only mist ahead. So very fitting. You are a martial man, right? Have I?
Yes.
I figured I'd gauge that correctly from your demeanor and apparent experience. Have you ever been in a situation like this? Perhaps facing some kind of danger you didn't quite understand yet?
Well, maybe the first time I went into battle and many of the opposing force was warforged. I didn't know what to expect. It was similar.
I see.
You've heard these stories of these beings created for battle, and you knew they could be very dangerous, but not necessarily why or how. It was similar, but not as. It didn't feel as big. This is just. There are creatures, they are deadly, there's cold, and that is deadly, and just everything is known but unknown.
If I may, what was it like battling the Warforged?
It was, it wasn't any different for the most part. It was war. It was fighting, whether it was necessary or not, and it was cutting down beings that, at the end of the day, you don't feel good about. Whether they were created for war or not, they were still, I mean, much as you are, they're still people.
Very true. I guess I'm curious, being one of these beings created for battle, having faced, sure, a couple of fights, but nothing compared to war, which I'm grateful for, but also inevitably curious about, since my purpose was supposed to be tied to it.
Well, if
I
it
do
makes
not know
it,
if there's many Warforged who have not seen battle at all.
if it makes it better or worse, I've never seen one like you before. Very unique.
So they keep saying, yeah. I have noticed that too. I hadn't seen many like me when I first came to be in Moira's workshop. I could only see what she had around, maybe some other pieces, some of which are now part of me, that proceeded from other models. I really enjoyed getting to know the Warforged below Sean, but it only made it more apparent my, in some way, loneliness or lonely existence. For not only can't I remember my past, even though I know it's there, but also it doesn't seem to quite coincide with the shared memory of most of those who are like me, so I can't help but feel like an outsider. I just hope, I don't know if I want to learn more about who I was. I don't know if it's important. I don't know if maybe I'm better off without knowing, you know? I like who I am now. I like being with you and our party. There's a lot of things in life that I already either don't quite understand or want to learn more about, without having to delve into whatever I might have done. I have quite enough to be entertained, so...
Regardless of who or what you were before, who you are now is a wonderful person, and I'm glad to call you my friend.
We're friends. I like that.
Well, I would like to think so. I mean, you brought me tea. Is that what friends do?
Well, I guess it just felt like a polite thing to do, but yeah, we are friends. Sorry, I am a bit inexperienced in the matter, as with most things.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Both of you hear footsteps approaching. Coming to the boat nose is dressed in thick, warm clothing. You see Maedrith the Lyrander approaching. She walks up to both of you. She has like most of her neck and face is like buried in this very warm part of her coat. And she has her hands in the pockets of her coat as she walks up to the two of you. Her breath like icy as she exhales. Dythun, Rebus. Oh, this is where you are. I am preparing the crew for the next phase of a plan as we're approaching Ice White. I think it would be good if both of you would come to my captain's cabin. I'm gonna make sure the rest of your group will also come there.
Right.
Right.
I'm assuming they can be found in their chambers?
I'm not quite sure Have you seen them, Dythun?
I mean, last I checked, they were in their cabins. I woke up quite early.
It would make sense that they would be getting ready, so...
I mean, they're in one or the other. One of them.
Well, the boat, the undeniable, is large, but I think I can still find them. Just feel free to already go to my quarters. I'll be with you with the rest of the party as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
And she steps around then, before stopping and turning back around, looks at both of you. You sure both of you are dressed warm enough for the occasion?
I was actually just thinking I should go get my extra coat.
Yeah, it's because this is only the beginning of it. It's gonna get a lot colder.
Thank you for the warning.
She nods and then wanders off. And as she wanders off, we have the scene transition over to Rayn, who is throwing ice blocks into the water below her.
1 foot. 2 feet. 3 feet is like perhaps she's having trouble lifting it and throwing it over the ledge.
And as you throw that 3 feet, just 3 feet large block of ice over the ledge, you hear next to you the voice of Madrith going, "Enjoying yourself?"
No, I'd rather something more substantial to toss down.
We're not planning on tossing anything down. I'm planning more on a more graceful approach as far as weather permits it. Talking about going down, I'm gathering everyone in my captain's quarters to discuss the next phase of our plan. We're almost at the island. Feel free to already head to my quarters. You happen to know where Delphine is?
I haven't seen her this morning. I thought I would catch her getting some food. Or she's not been in... I passed by her room and I didn't receive an answer at the door.
So you didn't stay in her room? My crew is talkative.
Oh, tell me.
I don't think I have to tell you what kind of rumors the crew might come up with after they hear that you were in Delphine's room last night.
Well, I also had a visitor in my room last night, too.
I have to ask my crew about that. Not that I care much about these kind of rumors. As long as they
That's
don't...
exactly why you're asking.
And she actually, at that point, has like a very little smirk on her face as you say that. Truth be told, it kind of is. Do you know Delphine well?
I wish I say I did.
How long have you been traveling with her?
Matter of weeks, few months, I'd have to say.
I see.
Have you known her long? You are all blood related, I believe.
Well, there are many family members that are better known to me. The dragon-marked houses are not the smallest families, truth be told. There's many in them that I don't know well, but many of them that I know more by rumors and hearsay. But there's also not many in my family who haven't been to our ancestral home in Stormhome for quite a while. And there is a reason for that.
As Madrith is talking, is her dragon mark visible anywhere that I see on her body? I assume she's all dressed up either way, but just in case.
She's very much like 90% of her body is covered at this point.
Rayn is in her dress. Which is like this summer, off-shoulder, long sleeve, short.
That cold resistance is really paying off so far.
It's not that cold
No,
yet,
her
Rayn.
her mark is not visible in her current clothing.
Well, then Matrix would see if she's talking to Rayn that on Rayn's right arm, like shoulder to elbow, is this sort of wave-like pattern, kind of like a Hokusai wave kind of vibe.
Nice.
And you see it kind of just swirling down her arm. But I don't know if Mate is familiar with the shape of Delphine's dragon mark, but that is this singular similarity.
She just looks at you. I hope that answers your question, how well I know her.
I have ways of finding out, but when it comes to Delphine, it feels like cheating.
Cheating? Very well. I did have another question for you before we head to my quarters.
Yes, yes.
Are you also from the Thunder Sea?
Oh, yes.
I've had the honor in the past of meeting quite a few Tritons. And I can say that each time I met them, I assume the gods flipped a coin, and it was either one of the most pleasant experiences, or a social challenge that had to be navigated with great care.
That's not exclusive to Tritons, though, is it?
That is very true, I give you that. But I have not met a Triton yet in a city like Sharn before. From what I heard from any of your people, well, not sure if you would consider them your people. To be fair, not everyone with the Mark of Storm would consider me as their people. What brought you away from the Thunder Sea?
Monotony. Lack of imagination. And far too many individuals whose coin landed on the wrong side.
Well, that tells me all I need to know to see an explanation why you work together with Delphine. Feel free to head to my quarters. I'm going to see where Delphine is.
As I walk away, Madris will hear in her head. Not that I'm against hearing all stories that you may have about Delphine when she was younger, as a precocious child. Oh, that'd be lovely to see, as she just kind of prattles on as she walks away.
Madrid stops for a moment once she notices that going on, and she looks over her shoulder and has again a little bit of a smirk on her face, as if she's somewhat entertained by this.
Rayn will go directly to the meeting area and see Dythun and Rebus. And do we get the idea that from here we're departing, or this is the last call before getting ready? Because otherwise Rayn will just get her supplies and be there.
This is like the last call before getting ready. You get the feeling that Madrid is gathering all of you to once again check on what the next step is, and you probably will have afterwards a moment to get your bags and everything.
Then I'll walk as I am.
Gotcha. So Delphine, Madrid is looking for you as the last member to join in here. If she went looking for you, where would she find you at this point?
At this point, basically just wandering around the ship, looking what to find there. I mean, every ship is different, so...
It's true. It's true. And wandering around the ship, you would have noticed that in its design and its layout, the undeniable is different from the clear blue sky. And some of the, while more of the main parts of it, like where the engine is located, where the dragon chart is that powers all this thing, is fairly similar. There are some changes, some differences in the design and general layout of the ship. And at one point, Delphine, you are on the top deck of the ship, and you're basically looking at this elemental ring that is going all around the ship. There's this pale blue as it glows. And you actually notice that any kind of rain or hail that would fall on the ring is kind of like absorbed into it, as if it just accepts like the water as an element into it. And it just becomes part of the ring. And as you stand there looking at it, you hear behind you the voice of Madrith. She says, "Fascinating how this and all these other parts can keep this entire thing floating. Every part contributing to it."
Sounds like a metaphor for something more large.
Oh.
But I don't wanna dive too much into this.
It's the exact metaphor my mother used way too often in my youth.
Ah, funny. Mine did the same.
Parents aren't as creative as they think they are.
Most of the times they are pretty boring.
We're getting ready for the next phase of the plan. Rest of your companions are probably already in my quarters. Would you mind following me there?
Lead the way.
She's just about to leave, and then she says, "About what you said yesterday, when you asked me if I knew who might have gotten Darian to do something as trying to kill you. I think my response didn't really convey how much that event worries me."
Oh, it kind of worried me as well, as I was falling down from several hundred feet in the air.
Darian is a gullible moron sometimes.
Yes.
And
tell me more.
He's someone who doesn't really know what's good for him, but he's not... Okay, I want to believe he's not a murderer. So if you're here telling me that he was involved in an attempt at your life, we have one more reason to try and find him rather alive than dead. Because he does not only then have to explain things to you, but I wanted to explain those same things to me as well.
He doesn't have the guts to do such stuff willingly. He is too kind-hearted.
He's more than a handful. But he's not compared to other people in our family, he's not a bad guy.
Which is true.
what I'm trying to say here, Delphine, is I want to hear the end of the story as well. And in that regard, I am fully on your side. Which doesn't mean I'm not aware of your history. But I also know that your history does not define who you are. At least not fully defines who you are. Besides, you seem to have managed to travel with a few interesting individuals so far.
You know, I was never that bad at making friends. With any kind of people.
Let's take this to my quarters for now. It's getting a little bit chilly out here.
And a little bit too wet.
Agreed. And she leads the way over to her quarters, where the rest of the party already is, and the Lyranders enter into the room where the rest of the party is convened. And once the door closes, you do notice that once the door closes, that the captain quarters are heated in here. There's a very nice temperature, and you do notice that on two sides of the captain quarters, there are these little stoves installed, but the stoves do not have any kind of natural fire in them. They just radiate with warmth, enchanted with magic, as they keep the captain quarters at a nice temperature. And the first thing that Madrith does once she's in, she opens up her coat, puts it down, and she moves over to her large table with all the maps on them, all her models. And you see that she moves the model of the undeniable closer to the destination. And she starts saying, right, the weather so far has been in our favor. The wind hasn't blown too much against us. The visual range has only significantly worsened in the last hours, but that shouldn't hinder us from arriving the end point for the undeniable within the next 1 or 2 hours. Once we're there, my second in command will make sure that the ship remains stationary up in the air, and we'll lower small ships, well, I wouldn't call them ships, more like skiffs, down into the water, and maneuver our way through the cliffs and rocks to the beach of Ice White Isle. From there, we're gonna look for any kind of track we can find, any kind of sign of where the clear blue sky, Darien, the Death Gate, mercenaries, whoever has gone, and adjust a plan from there. I know this is not the most intricate plan at this point, but next to the next steps that we have, being our journey by boat, there's not much more information that we have at this point. What I can give you as a heads up is that we're going into very dangerous territory. Ice White Isle is an island that not many put their feet on, and that hardly any come back from. We don't have much information on what it exactly is on the island. So, be on guard. Any questions from any of you before we finalize our preparations?
How many hours do we have?
About 1 or 2 hours.
Oh, not until we are arriving. How much to find your brother?
I'll instruct my second in command to keep the airship up and floating for as long as the power remaining in a dragon shard can last. I'm assuming by the current stand. a day.
Understood.
I have a question.
Yes, Dythun.
You said the other team came in an airship as well.
Correct.
Even if the airship has crashed, if we found that crystal from the airship, is there a way we could use that to buy us more time on the island?
Assuming we can salvage it. I don't want to bore you with a long explanation of the actual technological functionalities of an airship, but if we could salvage the dragon shard in the engine, we would have to still get it back to the ship here to give us more time. I do not want to exclude the possibility that the clear blue sky is a complete wreck. If that is the case, we should salvage those kind of things from it. Another scenario is that we find it in a semi-operatable situation, but then the challenge would still be to get the airship back up in the air.
Right.
There isn't much particular interest on Ice White Island itself, I think. Well, beyond being the manifest zone of somewhere very, very, very cold and challenging.
Is that so? I just thought maybe if within that first day we don't find them, thinking of a way to, prepare for more time if possible, but I guess we'll have to just see how it goes.
I think your line of thinking, Dythun, is interesting. If we could salvage the dragon shard from what remains of the clear blue sky, that would allow the team aboard here some more time. We just need a way to signal them back. I do keep a pair of sending stones for that purpose on call, so I could still communicate with my second in command should we find anything. Excellent thinking there.
Thank you.
So, are we ready to descend on the island then?
Not entirely yet, because I still want to align with you on a few other matters. As I've contracted you from the Clifftop Adventurers Guild, you do also have your mission parameters set out by Guild Handler Lara. One of them being...
You were there for in person.
That is correct. One of them being, of course, to find whatever remains of Darien de Lyranda. But, if I'm not mistaken, we also discussed finding any kind of whatever the Deathgate Adventurers Guild is up to here on the island. Whatever they may have been coming here for anyway. I'm assuming that should there be any kind of chances of finding them, and also finding out what they came for here, you would not consider your mission finished as soon as we find Darien. Am I correct in that understanding? Because I heard what kind of coin was named when you were hired for the mission.
I mean, if you want to make a counter offer.
No, thank you.
I mean, I can totally understand if when you're saying, like, as soon as you have found your brother, that you would love to leave the island again.
Or are you saying you're also interested?
I'm interested in finding out what happened to my brother. But I also know him well enough that should he still be alive and he has not acquired what he came here to do, he will keep pushing me to let him finish whatever grand quest he's on. Now, that it would be way easier and less frustrating for me if I also knew that you four would also be inclined to support me in such an endeavor.
Even if it is in direct competition with what he is seeking, as it is clear to you that we want it for our own ends.
I mean, we could simply push that other people from the cliff top from some kind of cliff that we might find there. I mean, that would be fitting.
Push them.
We have a track record of it.
Do you have any previous history with this Deathgate Adventurers Guild?
Only minor things.
What people would call friendly banter.
No, if I recall, it was very unimaginative assassination attempt. Very, very run-of-the-mill, not very creative.
I tried to kill you.
I believe they were paid to do so. They didn't get close though.
I mean,
Nonetheless, they tried. The intention or their success is irrelevant.
they didn't try very hard.
Indeed.
They were just frustrated that we won that one competition.
You're...
No, I do believe that they were actively contracted to find us.
Oh, true. Oh, I remember.
You see Madrid at this point is just like looking at all of you as you like recall what was actually happening in Deathgate Adventurers Guild, and you just see her face and her thinking about what kind of exact relationship you have with these other adventurers, until she just like raises her hand, waves it off, and says, "The point I was trying to make is that I think that once we are an Ice White Isle and there is something else here that could be of value, that we should not just leave too fast."
I am quite in agreement with that.
That's good to know. And I'm very glad that the coin my house puts towards the Clifftop Adventurers Guild for this will hopefully be put to good use. If there are no further questions, I would advise you to get dressed as warm as possible and await my summons towards the deck.
As if we're getting up to leave, Rayn is gonna go over to the map and the table where Major has the figurine of the ship on the map on the island, and using minor illusion, Rayn is going to make like some krakens like swim through the water as if around the island, make a little cloud and a little swirl of storm, some lightning, maybe like a nice frozen water elemental.
Rayn.
Yeah.
Can you give me an intelligence saving throw?
Yeah. Which dice? Your dice. Paladin aura is not a thing yet here, so. Ooh, not 20. Total 21.
Dang.
You walk over to the table, create your minor illusions, and it's a miniature scale, Hollywood-worthy portrayal that now manifests on the map. These little illusionary krakens reaching out for the models, sheens of eyes, all of it coming out. And as you look at this display of aquatic monstrosities, there's just the briefest just this harsh flash in your head for a moment, just this brief shudder. Like if there's this sudden crack in glass, and then it fades again.
See, Rayn like checks her hair. I'll be outside. And walks out.
All right. You,
Oh my god.
all of you get enough time to gear up, pack your things, dress however warmly you want to dress based on whatever you have brought with you. You do also notice once all of you are ready and dressed up and your bags are packed, at one point you all are summoned back onto the deck of the Undeniable. And at this point, the fog and rain has become more intense. And it's this icy cold rain. You know the kind of rain that you have in like December or January when it's not cold enough for the rain to become snow, but it's still freaking cold as it comes down on you. And in worst case scenario, you have to cycle through it, but that's a different story. And you just feel the soaking cold of it. Not as bad as it could be, because you have your warm clothing on, but it still pours down on the deck, and you can actually hear like the rain hit the wooden deck beneath you. And you can also hear and see it hit these two elegantly made skiffs, like these larger dinghy boats being slowly lowered to the side of the decks. Two of them. Each of them just big enough for 2, maybe 3 people in them. Considering that Maedrith comes with you, perfect fit for a party of 5. You're still up in the air, but you do notice at one point that the airship slows down and the humming of the elemental ring changes. It becomes a more static, rhythmic sound. As finally the airship just comes to a hover over the cold ocean beneath you. The ocean beneath you filled with jagged rocks and icy spires.
Rayn would be looking at the water, if the water is visible, to see if there's any shadows moving underneath it.
Make a perception check, please.
It's not going to go well. Okay, you did good. Maybe you do the thing again. It did! It's a total of 20. Wow!
Blessed be that dice.
So,
You look down, peer down into the water. There's outlines underneath the waves, but that could be like rocks, stone. You don't see any moving outlines under the water.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, is hard to see under like the moving water, but you do spot outlines, but all of them stay like in a consistent spot.
Yep. Okay.
No kraken that hides underneath the waves or something.
Nothing with like a golden metallic sheen swimming underneath. Nope.
Nope.
Rayn doesn't know whether to be relieved or disappointed.
Interesting. As you, as all of you come here on the deck, Maedrith also joins you on deck. She's back in her cloak, in her coat. She has a backpack strapped to her back, and also dangling from her belt is this elegantly crafted rapier sword that dangles from her belt, and actually has the hilt of the sword is forged into the shape of what looks like a seahorse that protects her hand as she wields the weapon. As she steps on deck, you see some of the crewmates who are preparing the skiffs to nod at her. And Madrith walks up to all of you, points at the boats. Anyone of you familiar in steering a ship?
Which is pretty obvious.
The question was rhetorical. I'm fairly aware of the capabilities of my cousin over here. Delphine, would you do me the honors to take one of the boats and I'll take the other, and we split the rest of the party amongst them?
Sure.
Madrith walks up to one ship. One of the
Rayn
little
goes to
boats.
Delphine's ship.
Surprise.
Dythun goes to Madrith's ship.
Where does Rebus go?
Rebus, don't make me ride with Madrith alone. Come on.
No, I will go with Dythun. I don't fully trust Madrith, and I know Rayn and Delphine will probably be okay on their own. So.
Wait, hold on. Wait, maybe we don't need to leave them on their own. Hold on.
Rayn, make sure
Too
to
late.
nicely glare at Dythun and Rebus if they're considering going on their skiff.
It's like an instant decision for Dythun when like Rayn walks over there. Dythun's like, I'll go that way.
I almost got like feelings from back in high school picking people for your team during PE, like who's on which team. You split over the ships, and Delphine, what you notice, these little boats here, they're fairly similar to like the smaller boats that come with large ships, mostly for like evacuation. But these ones do have a very little way of steering them. And you do notice that already from looking at them, you know that these are given enchantments to the outside of the ship. And at the helm of the ship, which is the boat nose of the ship in that regard, you do see that near the steering wheel, there's also like these markings on there which allow you to activate the enchantments of the ship, which in this case would be to allow it to safely float downwards once the ship is released from its ropes on the airship. They're basically fully enchanted with their own feather tokens.
Well, let's hope it works.
Once every one of you has taken a seat on one of these boats, you see Madrith looks around. She looks at the people on her ship, looks at Dythun and Rebus, just nods. And then she just shouts over to the crew aboard the Undeniable, "Release!" And they release the ropes from the boats. And she then looks over it.
Before we get too far, Rayn would have kept a telepathic communication with, let's say, Dythun. And that's up for minutes.
Oh. Also, point of order, who has the sending stones?
You did.
Yes.
I don't have both of them, do I?
Yes.
Oh.
You mean the sending stones from back in the Shining Valley?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think did I still have both of them?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I thought I gave those I thought I gave one to somebody. Never mind.
Oh, you can do that when we're on the island. Otherwise, we'll pick your body.
Dythun thinks about it. Is like, oh well, too late now.
I have a telepathic connection with Dythun for 4 minutes. So we have communication between the skiffs.
4 minutes between the skiffs. Perfect. And Madrith looks over at Delphine as the ropes are released, and she quickly shouts over to you, "Press the button!" And she points to the steering wheel where also this magical glyph is that you can press.
I slowly press it. I'm very suspicious.
You press it, it sinks a little bit into the steering wheel, and as you press it, Madrith presses her button on her skiff, and the ropes are released from both of the skiffs. And where, by all laws of physics, once these ropes are released, the skiffs should just fall down and plummet into the waves. Once the ropes are pulled off, they just hover in the air for a moment, and then they slowly and gently flow down towards the waves. A very slow and gentle pace.
This is nice. Oh, Delphine, imagine having such a nice little boat like this float down Sharn.
And why exactly in Sharn?
Look at the sights. Perhaps one can have a spread of wine and fine cheeses here.
Yeah, I'm not so much into cheese.
What a strange concoction that land dwellers have decided to take the milk of this creature, let it sit and ferment and solidify. It's so audacious. Delicious.
The boats take a moment to get down onto the watery surface, and the lower you go, the more clear you can hear the waves of the thunder sea beneath you. You hear them clash against the rocks and blocks of ice that are all around you. And now that you're lower, you actually see how tall some of these rocky spires are. From atop on the airship, they looked small, but now they start towering over you, until you feel the last few inches, the ships just then plummet into the sea. And once they plummet in there, from the center of the ships, there's just this automated wooden stand that comes up, and a sail unfurls from it, attaching itself to a few corners on the skiffs, and is ready to be sailed towards your direction.
Rayn will stick her head into the water, just like lean full over. Are there any fish?
There are.
Tritons can kind of talk to them.
They have that thing, right?
They have a thing.
They do have that thing. I don't think it's called talk to fishies, but it's...
I think it's like a very limited communication. It's like I can't have like a conversation like, this is not the Sun Tree and I'm not Kiki. Like it's not going to be this kind of thing. But if there are fish around,
you can communicate simple ideas with beasts that can breathe water. They can understand the meaning of your words, though you have no special ability to understand them in return. So they can understand kind of the meanings that you're trying to get across, but you don't necessarily understand them.
Or I try to interpret.
Yeah.
If I see fish, I will try to convey like, seen any big threats, like big ones, things that eat the things that eat you.
There's this there are these 3 gray-scaled fish that come up to you as you stick your head into the water and you convey that to them. And they're like these longer fish, and they just look at you, each of them like with their mouth a bit open, like, and you convey that message to them, and you just see these fish, like their eyes like darting towards each other, like they're looking at each other. Just nodding. And then it's like blah, 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 blah.
Fare thee well.
Blah, 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 blah. And they swim away.
Shape water to make a little stream to push over. Take a nice deep breath to like It's been a while since she was. This is not home, but it's close. It's home adjacent.
It's home
Takes a deep breath
adjacent.
in the water and flips her head back into the skiff, and the rest of her torso sits at length. Like, we can carry on.
From the other ship, Madrith sees from the other ship Rayn doing that, and as she's busy like setting the sail in the right direction and getting the ship to move, she turns towards Dythun and Rebus. What is Rayn doing there?
She likes water. I don't know. She does that a lot, actually.
Ah. What did you say, Rebus?
No, do not quite.
Sorry, you cut out there.
I have learned.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No. The Warforged voice module is still frozen over a little bit, and you have
Oops.
Madrith then says, I shouldn't be that surprised. Tritons do enjoy the water. Hope she's careful with that. As she turns
Well,
the
you will
sail
learn
and
to ignore it and not question it anymore.
I take it then you have been with this company for a while then as well?
Enough to see these things as normal.
Hmm. It's good to have a little bit of variety in the people you travel with.
You get plenty of that in our group.
And at one point, Madrith, like, she turns the sail a bit and she puts it in a direction that it, like, catches the wind in full force. And your skiff is just, like, starts darting over the water. Rayn and Delphine, how are you going to deal with the sail on your little ship?
Is she gonna get there first, Delphine, or shall we?
Well, while Rayn is making small talk with fish, Delphine gets the boat as ready as possible. And as soon as Madrith is darting off, she will see that she can follow us fast. Maybe there's a little race.
All right. I mean, races are
You need some
never...
fun sometimes.
So you would try to get after Madrith?
Yes,
And
of course.
try to catch up with her, or even like be faster than her?
I mean, yes.
How far apart are we? The two skiffs? Like sort of parallel courses, but how far apart?
At this point, about 60 feet.
Noted. Okay.
And you're also sailing through kind of these spires of rock and ice all around you. So it's not just like navigating on just a flat ocean, but there's obstacles here as well. Delphine, this is certainly not the first time you're on a boat, so you kind of know your way around steering the environments and the sails. Is there? Would you be trying to maybe cheat in a way? Maybe do any kind of magic you might want to use to put some more wind into your sails?
No, let's play fair for this time.
Let's play fair
when
for
you
this.
have advantage.
Oh, that's not fair. anymore.
All right. Delphine, I think you are actually proficient in vehicles water, which is good.
Yes.
Because we're actually going to make this is actually a tool check that we're going to do because water vehicles are tools apparently. You roll me a d20 and add your dexterity and your proficiency modifier. So that would be a +6 in total, and you have advantage. Thank you very much for that, Cher.
Rayn would be towards the back, like shape water is a cantrip. You can only move 5 feet of water, but any bits, even if it's just like constant recasting to push water back.
Gotcha.
The effects are probably minimal, but maybe it lowers something. I don't know.
So you said +6.
Yes, because it's your dexterity modifier plus your proficiency bonus because you're proficient in water vehicles.
Okay. With advantage. Let's go. Oh, this is not bad. This is 21.
21. Oof, that is indeed. You're off to a good start. You position the sail in the right angle, and Rayn, you actually have to hold yourself to your seat at this point as suddenly the skiff just leaps over some of the waves as it takes some velocity, and you actually see how Delphine uses her own weight to kind of lean against the power of the wind to steer the ship around some shards of ice that lean out of the water. And with your shape water, you actually like give this little bit of extra push to that to make it around those rocks. And meanwhile, you see Maedrith looks over her shoulder as she sees that Delphine is coming closer with that maneuver. And Dythun and Rebus, you would see this as well, that the other boat is coming closer, and you, from this close, also see now Maedrith smile on her face as she realizes what Delphine is doing, and she's going to roll her own.
I look at Dythun and grab onto like something on the boat.
As soon as the skiffs are within 30 feet of each other, Rayn is going to freeze the water in front of the skiff. Obstacles. In front of Maedrith's skiff. That won't kill you. It's 5 feet of ice. It's not going to kill you.
Okay.
That won't kill you.
It's make you lose. It won't kill you.
So, thanks to a certain star-crosser, I also have advantage on this roll. So I'm going to. That's a 6 on one and a 20 on the other. And you see Maedrith adjust the sail a bit, and she darts her head a little bit of distance again, increasing. But just as she's getting out of reach of your magics, Rayn, you put this little bit of ice on the surface of the waves, which is kind of hard on a roiling sea to put like ice on it. But you can hear the sound of the skiff of Maedrith just breaking through that sheen of ice as she further goes ahead and builds up the lead a little bit further. Delphine, you're still in the race. You still got a little bit closer to Maedrith, but she seems to be quite the captain herself as well.
If I see Delphine moving, I'll just like quietly look to her, like just darting my eyes. Like Rayn is asking you with her eyes, like, should I sit here? Should I move there? How do I optimize your?
Okay, what to do? Just shouting to Rayn, like, come back here, pointing to where she should place herself the best, for weight reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not using magic. I need to save my spell slots. Even though I want to, but oh no.
Rayn does as instructed, and wherever she can, uses her own magic to advantage ourselves or disadvantage the other skiff if they're close enough to do so within 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, still trying to get around this stuff and see if I can catch up.
Gotcha. Give me another bow check. So the +6 on the roll. Bow check.
Bow check. This is not good. This is not good. This is a 14. The dice betrayed me. They don't want to see this.
Let me quickly check how Madrith does on this one.
Dice. Much better.
So Madrith at one point, as she rushed ahead over the waves and she crashes through that little sheen of ice that Rayn put there, she has this big smile on her face as she adjusts her sail, but coming out of the mist and the rain ahead of you, she just sees this rocky spire that's just a few feet away from her ship as she just has to wrangle the ship around, adjust the sail, making it past that spire, but loses a lot of speed in that maneuver. And Delphine, that's just what you needed, because your roll wasn't that great, but with the loss of speed on Madrith's skiff, you're catching up. You're just like a few feet away now from her as she's still adjusting course. And yeah, you can see her face. She now has she's biting her lower lip while she's still adjusting the ship to not crash into any spires.
Okay, so catching up to her, I guess?
Yeah, just a few feet between you and her.
Okay, let's see if I can pass her, and if I do, I want to give her a nice little wink. Let's see.
So let's do a final roll for that. You give me one of your rolls. I'm gonna roll for Madrith.
Rayn shifts to help
Don't
out.
betray me! Don't betray me!
Delphine as much as possible.
Oh, this is another 21.
Yeah, I rolled a 5. So nice. You adjust the ship, you get by Madrith as she looks at you, and you wave at her, you say. You quickly give her a wave. She's still biting her lower lip. She looks at you. For a moment, there's this frown, but then also a little bit of amusement on her face, of this little bit of friendly competition out here on the dangerous sea in between rocks and ice, as one Lyrander passes by another Lyrander, and you take the lead in this little sailing competition. And Madrith eventually steers the ship into an irregular course again, slows down a bit, and then looks at Dythun and Rebus and says, "Oh, that was fun."
Yes, quite fun. Are we there yet?
Are you getting seasick?
Nope, fine. It's all good.
Does a hairball come out?
You see at that moment, Madrith looking at you, Dythun, she just goes, "Oh," and calms the ship down a bit, trying to accommodate to the people without sea legs in her ship.
I am not saying anything, but just gripping every inch of the ship that I can whenever I'm moving. Just.
And as Madrith's ship and her passengers, who have just had a fun little race, and also Delphine's ship with Rayn on board, slowly make their way further to the coast, I think this is a nice little place to take a quick break for now. So let's take a little break to calm down from this little boating race we had here, to look up correct naval terminology, though boat nose is a great term for it.
It is boat nose.
It is boat nose. And let's be back in, let's say, 10 minutes. So stretch your legs, grab a drink, pat your cats, and we're back in 10 minutes. And here we are again. Hello, everybody.
Oh, hello.
We are just back from our little break, stretched the legs, got some drinks, and had a very important poll up because there is still the mystery that needs to be solved. Who sent me pizza? And according to the poll, it was the crew here of Horde of Tales, though.
But it is also not incorrect to say that the pizza place sent you the pizza.
Which is technically very true. They did send me the pizza. But who
Case
hired
closed.
them? Who is behind this pizza plot? This the dough thickens. The it's
Well,
it's what we come here for. But actually we don't. We come here for tabletop RPGs and D&D, and I already used up enough time about my pizza conspiracy. We're back for the second half of this session, where we will continue to see what our adventurers are up to. But before we get in there, before we continue, thanks to everyone who has been tuning in today. We've seen a few familiar and a few new faces in chat today, which is very cool. Thank you very much for joining in there. Thanks for the cat vantages you gave and for just engaging here. It's so fun to have people here. If you enjoy what we're doing here, if you enjoy watching a D&D stream and suddenly someone puts on a pirate hat, or we have talks about mysterious pizzas, you should definitely consider, and cat, you should definitely consider giving us a follow here on Twitch. We're happy with all the follows here, and if you feel like it, you can also leave a subscription if you want to, which is nice. If you want to keep track of what we're doing, if you want to follow us on our socials, we have a Twitter you can follow us on, which is also down below the video. We have a Discord that you can join us on if you want to chat with us and send us funny memes, pet pictures, and other things you want to share with us. Come again?
Or pizza.
Or maybe it was the Discord. Add that to the list. So if you want to join, come to our Discord. And if you just jumped in here at episode 19 of this campaign and you're like, wait a minute, where's the previous 18 episodes? Well, we also got you covered on that. We also keep all our VODs on our YouTube, which is at youtube.com/Horde of Tales. Not only do you have our VODs there of this campaign, there's also VODs of our one-shots that we do, and also our little shorts that we post there, which are just a short little clips of funny moments from our games. And you can find them there, share them with your friends, and share the love of Horde of Tales with everyone.
Yay!
We
So-
are lovely.
We would be
I-
lovelier with 400 followers, and we're so close.
Yes, we're pretty close. I think currently we're at 394 followers on Twitch. So if you feel like giving us a little
97,
bit...
97 actually.
397, three
Oh.
more.
And what does this mean? It's like 3 people that we still need until we're doing the next giveaway.
One more reason to give us a follow and to also follow us on our socials, because that's where you also probably find info about whatever giveaway we're planning. So totally follow us, keep a track of us. Perfect.
We are indeed bribing you to follow us, but like we're worth it. So come on.
And also just look here. Here's cats you can look at if you follow us.
Kitty!
We
I
have
don't
so
know
many
if it
cats.
I don't know if it shows up on the Twitter because of on Twitch because of the overlay. Like, I think I just barely see like an ear on the past the overlay. Was it up?
Yeah.
Sleepy
Is he
kitty.
sleepy?
Sleepy
Oh, it's cute.
kitty. Sleepy kitty. All right.
She's very annoyed every time I pick her up to like show the camera. She's like,
I
"Ugh."
I
The
guess I
cats.
know who isn't sleepy yet, and that's our adventurers at this point, because you just had a bit of a sailing race in the waters not far away from Ice White Isle, out in the Thunder Sea. And after a break, we pick up, as for both ships, the shoreline of Ice White Isle becomes visible. The cold waters of the Thunder Sea roll into a shore of pebbles, sand, and snow. The air here is freezing. And the wind rolls over all of you as your skiffs slowly glide onto the beach of this frozen island. Of course, Delphine and Rayn arrive first, since they got a bit of a head start.
Of course.
Rayn does while the skiff is being steered onto land, Rayn does that cool thing where she just kind of stands with one foot on the bow of the skiff and she has this very, very pretty cape, like kind of billow behind her as well, with a slight sheen to it.
Does it seem to be billowing on its own by any chance?
It's windy, it's cold here.
Okay.
Kind of billowing it on its own. Well, getting out of the ship or putting it to the shore as much as I can, so that it's not floating away with the next wave.
And while you do that, Delphine, as you start pulling the ship further on land, you do notice then that just a few feet away from you, Madrith and the rest of your companions, they also come up on the beach. And Madrith, like, jumps out of the ship.
Dythun
Also starts
very quickly
pulling...
jumps out of the ship.
Gets off as well. And Madrith puts the boat further on land as well.
Rebus is moving, like, have you seen this robots from Boston Dynamics and how they calculate where to step because they don't want to fall over?
Yes.
Rebus is moving like a chameleon right now, just like every step they take, it takes them like 5 attempts to like actually put their weight on the foot. Because their equilibrium system has been just destroyed.
They just really have to recalibrate to the solid ground beneath their feet. And you all eventually get on land. Madrith looks at the party. That was a nice way to start our little endeavor here. I salute your sailing skills, Delphine. Seems like your time in Sharn has not caused you to lose any of your edge.
You know, I probably should thank you for this, since I kinda missed sailing a lot in the last time.
You know, you might not be welcome in Stormhome, but no one can forbid you from sailing the ocean.
Which is true. Also, you've got very good skills for someone who is mostly in the air.
You know how we Lyranders are raised. Some of us can steer a ship before we can even walk.
Which is true.
Anyhow, welcome to Ice White Isle. It's utterly welcoming, isn't it?
In a way, yes.
Can I see any more of those, like, gigantic structures that were welcoming our airship?
You saw while sailing the ships, you were basically navigating in between these spires of rock and ice that were jutting out of the ocean. And here on the island, most of it right here on the coast, you don't see any kind of these spires, but right ahead of you, there's a bit of a cliff face that leads further inland on the island. And it's not so, the cliff is not as steep that you would need climbing gear to get up to it, but it is like, well, you really need some good shoes and some good footing to get up on it, but you don't need to put on your full climbing gear to climb up that cliff. And at this point, weather-wise, also your viewing distance is quite limited because it's still foggy, cloudy, and at this point, the rain is replaced by more and more hail that comes down at you.
Well, shall we?
Yes, please. It's getting cold.
Oh, darling, it's going to get colder the deeper we go into the island.
First order of business is to keep an eye out for any kind of traces that we might see of any of those goods stranded here. Any kind of clothing, footprints, airship parts.
Body parts.
I think.
Let's hope it doesn't get to that.
Dythun's probably gonna walk with his sword, like, not necessarily in a like battle stance, but just having his sword ready in his hand.
Gotcha. His sword, not his fancy new javelin.
Well, again, he's not quite sure. Like, it's windy. It's low vision.
But a good poking
Maybe
stick.
at some point.
Gotcha. So you move further inland, wary of any kind of dangers, making your way closer to that cliff face ahead of you, peppered by hail. Are you all keeping like an eye out for any kind of tracks or trails that you could find?
That was the second. That was the suggestion. I
I
think that's a
would
good
be.
one.
Dythun's definitely like scanning the ground for humanoid tracks, creature tracks, trails, anything like that.
Gotcha. I would then like to, if all of you are keeping an eye out for that, I would like to, considering the environment that you're in, I would like all of you to give me a survival check, please.
I do have cat vantage, and it's the last one I got.
You do.
Yeah, Sherry blessed me a second time, so survival.
Thank you very much for that, Chair.
I would say the environment is not so good for myself.
Why?
I rolled a solid 2.
It was 12 for me.
12 for Rebus.
14 with advantage for Rayn. The one was a 9.
18 for Dythun.
Ooh. And Madrith got a natural 20.
Nice.
So you, all of you, the 5 of you, look around and you approach the cliff face. And at first, for about your first 20 minutes of wandering, slowly moving from the beach into more and more of snow and ice, you don't see anything of note. There's just a cold wasteland ahead of you. The further you walk inland, the more distant the rolling of the waves becomes. And eventually you come and come up on the cliff. And once you're up on the cliff there, Rebus and Dythun, both of you would notice that at one point Madrith got down into the snow and seems to be handling something in her hand. So she's looking at something.
I'll walk over and find something.
Think so. And from what you can tell, it's just a piece of wood that she's holding.
Have there been
And
trees
she then-
here?
There's no trees here. Not as far as you have seen so far. And she turns around the piece of wood in her hands, and she kind of shows you, Dythun, what she was looking at. And you can see that, like, it's not just like one piece of wood. You can see from where it's broken up, it's like multiple layers of wood stuck together. This has been worked wood. Somebody really glued these together, put it together, but now it's broken off, like violently ripped off of something. She looks at it. This is a little bit of saw wood. Kind of what we use for an airship.
Let's hope that's not all that's left. Probably the results of some kind of impact, maybe.
Probably indeed. From what I can tell, this is a bit from the outer hull. So, if this is all that lost, ship should still be fine.
I could make ourselves known to perhaps alert any potential survivors.
Or any potential attackers.
Yes.
Well, if I make myself known in such a manner that is threatening and loud, anything thinking we are an easy target will hopefully be dissuaded. If you hear a loud dragon's roar, do you go running towards it?
Yes.
I have to run with you more often. He's alive in the most exciting and exhilarating way.
Anyway, I think it could be a good idea.
Madrith looks at you, Rayn. How would you draw that attention?
I can make a clap of thunder. I could even tap it out, so to say.
Tap it out.
Is there some little song that Darren would know that can be out?
You want to draw attention to you by clapping out a nursery rhyme or something?
Very, very, very loudly. I mean, if someone were on their last hopes, about to give up their bare struggle for survival, but something in the distance sounded, revitalizing them. Or summon dragons to eat us, either way might be exciting.
Well, that's my concern. We don't really know what kind of other things are on this island now, do we? What kind of other things we could lure out?
Nothing gambled, nothing gained then.
She looks over at Delphine. What do you think of that plan?
I would say let's see if we can find more pieces of the ship. So, best case, there might be some kind of a smaller trail. In the worst, we find nothing, and then we can still use Rayn's clapping.
I think that sounds like a better approach. But let's keep that clapping plan in our back pocket. You continue your way further onwards, keeping an eye out for any kind of other trails that you might find. And for the next 45 minutes, you venture basically over this almost flat plateau of snow and wind and hail, and eventually the hail does not stop, but it now gets mixed with these thick snowflakes that keep falling down, further obscuring your sight, further battering you with cold. A cold that's almost unnatural. But fortunately, you are not just some shipwrecked people who came here unprepared. Layers of clothing that you have on you provide you some protection. But even wrapped in that clothing, I need everyone except anyone who has cold resistance or immunity to make a Constitution saving throw with advantage, thanks to the advantage given by the warm clothing.
Do I double advantage for my cat vantage?
You keep the cat vantage for the next roll without
Okay.
advantage, so it's not lost on it.
Oh.
That's really
It's
good.
21 for me.
Nice.
Did you say... Was it just like a check or a saving throw?
Saving throw.
Saving throw.
Ooh, that's a 24.
Nice.
Good
Delphine.
at those.
7.
You venture across this freezing plain, all of you feeling the chill rolling all over your body. And Delphine, you just really feel it seep into you. You just feel how your steps are getting heavier and how you actually really shiver in your jacket. You take 1 point of exhaustion, 1 level of exhaustion from this.
Delphine, you have some cat
Cool.
vantage.
It's too late.
No, but now it's even more useful.
Now it's even more useful indeed, because it cancels out the disadvantage you have on your ability checks.
Let's go over to a frozen over island. It's fun, they said. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you bring your coat. It should be fine.
It is perfectly fine. Is there some issue?
Rayn, could you give me an intelligence saving throw, please?
Okay. I don't have anything, but let's go.
No reason, you know, for
That's
fun.
a 6.
As you said, they're completely unaffected by the cold. And
It's
you're just...
nippy, but it's like, oh,
all right, it's nippy. I'll give you that. You just stand there while your companions are huddling into their cloaks, and then there's again this in your mind. Again, this flash. Everything briefly goes oversaturated around you. Everything briefly gets this strange filter on it. And as you look towards your companions in this flash, your companions aren't there, but you just see this spiraling tower reaching into the snowy sky. And it's gone again.
right where my companions are.
Yes. You can see your companions now again, but there's no sign of that tower you saw. It's just like these, almost just like really these weird oversaturated flashes appear in front of your eyes and then vanish again.
I lean down, make a snowball, and I hurl it where the tower would be. Maybe it's invisible.
Throw the snowball, and it just goes just past Madrith and just lands on the ground behind her.
Oh.
And Madrith just goes like, "What was that for?"
That wasn't for you.
She looks at Dythun next to her.
Who was it for me?
Would you like one?
I don't know.
Would you like
Maybe-
to build a snowman? Would you like to come out and play?
Are you okay?
Oh my
That's an
god.
interesting question you ask.
S-
Am I not
Snowball-
okay?
I mean, snowball fight sounds fun. Building a man of snow seems interesting, but like we're kind of in the middle of something.
And you don't see anything there, and I point where I saw a tower.
There is.
You have sharp eyes. Do you see the wind perhaps buffeting something?
I assume no.
You see gray sky, mist, snow, hail, but that's it.
You know, right there. Oh, hold on. He like reached down. Actually, and just throws a snowball at Rayn.
Excellent.
What?
Snowball is flung into your direction, Rayn.
Does it hit me?
Should I make a ranged attack roll?
Make an improvised ranged attack.
I don't think I'm. What is this? Plus Dex, I guess.
Yeah. D20
Okay,
plus
that's-
dex.
So D20. 14.
Does
Well,
that hit?
hits. That
Yeah.
just hit.
This is snowball coming into your face for 1 cold damage, but
Oh,
you're
no.
be resistant to cold.
So half of cold damage.
0.5.
Let's just consider the damage you take is the fact that you just got hit by a snowball. But after you feel like the snowball hitting you, Rayn, you hear a voice behind you. Just goes like, Rayn, what are you doing here? Speaking in Triton.
Absolutely turn around.
And you turn around and you just see, for a brief moment, a familiar armor-clad figure. And this familiar smile. And that stupid, loyal face. And then it's gone again. There's no one behind you.
Oh my god, Marcus, I swear to God.
Dythun hears telepathically. Did you see that person behind me?
There was no one behind her.
No, and I didn't see anything in the air either. Seriously, are you okay? Do you need... Can we help you in any way?
I realize this is not the appropriate time to bring this up considering this line of questioning. But I talked to some fish and they suggested that there might be great danger.
Oh my god, she's lost it forever now.
She's saying it telepathically to Dythun.
I think
I know,
honestly,
I know.
Dythun like takes that with 100% seriousness of just like, well, if the fish are worried, then we should be cautious.
and you
They
hear
know
from
this area better than us.
and you hear from the back like, could we please move? It's freezing.
Yes, that's. Are you okay to go?
What other option do we have here? Freezing 2 statues? Because I'm pretty close to it.
Maybe this place is haunted. I say out loud.
If I freeze to death, I haunt you.
I'd be flattered by that. But I'm concerned what else is here. I'm gonna just walk on the periphery of the group. Not just trying to reconnect with what the heck I saw. Not
Gotcha.
looking for Darren anymore, but just like... Let's say I keep like a 20-30 foot like radius from the group as I'm just like...
Gotcha. Rebus, what are you doing?
So, consulting the whatever knowledge I obtained from the library on the last session for the first time on this trip,
Exactly.
would it make sense that this would be haunted? Of all the things, like all the creatures and all the different dangers that I read about, was ghosts or visions or something like that part of it?
Looking up things about Ice White Isle sooner or later leads to getting into books about strange islands even the bravest pirates don't want to go to. And those kind of stories of islands that even some pirates or freebooters don't want to go to are rife with stories of ghosts, of the ships that crashed on the rocky shores and all of its sailors coming back from the dead to haunt whoever dares to disturb their wet grave. Ice White Isle had no such stories attached to it. So You might have to worry about other things, but at least from the books you got in the Moorgrave University, none were talking about any kind of specters or ghouls or wraith that haunt Ice White Isle.
As Rayn is just pacing back and forth, like past the group, from the group towards the group, just like, no, that makes no sense. He came back home. He shouldn't be here. There's no reason for him to be here after the fact.
I walk over to Delphine. Is Rayn okay? Did something happen on the trip here? She had her hair underwater. Did anything happen?
Nothing out of the usual. I mean, she always acts kind of weird, but not more than normally.
Miss Rayn?
Yes.
Should we be worried? What is it? You seem to be acting stranger than usual.
I concur. My strangers is usually something rather controlled. This is not very controlled. I'm disliking it. For the briefest of moments, I saw a giant tower there, and I mentioned in the air. And for the briefest of moments, I heard and saw a Triton warrior behind me. One who ought not to be here.
Do I see anything around us that might indicate that this might be of arcane nature or triggered by something in the environment? Did we push a button? You know, is there a strange stone on the way?
There's snow, there's ice, there's mist, there's you and your companions. Nothing else.
Okay. Did I read anything about a tower?
Make a history check.
Let's go.
The DM doesn't want to say yes,
no.
but also not no.
Rebus read a lot.
Yeah, true.
Apparently not about this.
Yeah, but maybe
Totally.
you read a lot and you don't remember all of it.
Which-
Yes, that is fair.
That would be a very good explanation. You did read a lot, and everyone who knows how it feels like if you try to cram everything before finals or something, not everything gets stuck in your brain. There's like part of it that falls out, and you're pretty sure there was some kind of stories about sightings of strange buildings on the shore of Ice White Isle that vanish as you sail away again, but specifically towers or something? No, not that comes to mind. Which these sightings that you read about, also going by your rational explanation of it, could just be, they could be tricks of the light, considering how like maybe the light breaks through the snow and the fog. But there's nothing that you recall that makes you think of, oh yeah, this is this tower I read about. Dythun.
Did Rayn say she was pacing, like,
Yeah,
kind of
like,
zigzagging as the party was walking forward?
yeah, like through the party, past the party.
I think Dythun would kind of follow a little bit, like, kind of, if Rayn went like 20 feet this way, he'd go like 5 feet off the group of the party. And then when she came back, he'd like follow 5 feet that way again, just kind of like staying close enough that if something happened, he could like get to Rayn.
All right.
Do we find any other traces, parts, whatever?
Well, that's a good question that you asked there, because the party does kind of, while Rayn still circles out on the edges of the group, at least Madrith keeps an eye out on any kind of further tracks she can find. And after about another 20 minutes wandering through the snow, you do notice that patches of snow are interrupted by always what looks like these spots where something impacted on the ground and then just skidded along the ground for a while, and then it's snow again. Whatever impacted there left a little bit of a hole in the ground, which is now filled mostly with snow again, but there's a significant dent in there, and dirt and rocks spread around it.
Would that be large enough for like the lower part of the hull of the airship?
Yup.
Okay. So we're on a good way.
I would also at this point like to have everyone make a perception check, please. And don't forget, if you have exhaustion, you might have disadvantage of that, but if you have catvantage, you might still have advantage on the roll.
We just thought it's just a straight roll.
I still have catvan. I don't think I used it yet.
Yeah,
Right?
you didn't use it for
Okay.
last one. You still have it. And your cat is actually motivating you at this point.
That was a very good roll.
A fresh cat vantage for Delphine as well after
And
for
a
the next
fresh
one.
one for the next
Like, doesn't
one.
have exhaustion. Cher is awesome for this. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Just
Cher is
great.
just going, yep, catvantage for
Look at this
everyone.
pretty kitty cat. Rayn rolled a total of
What are we rolling
9.
again?
Perception.
Perception.
Rayn had a total of 9.
9.
Fitting, considering the circumstances.
17 for Rebus.
Ooh, single digits.
Hmm.
Single digits.
22.
Goodness.
Wow.
11.
11. Oof. Rebus and Dythun. Once again, the two of you do spot not far away from this, like, this impact side. You do see there's a little hovel of snow. It's just a very little. Usually the snow here is flat, but then there's this bump in the snow.
Dythun's
Let's
gonna
go check that out.
cautiously like walk up to it. Maybe like poke it with like probably actually like the javelin because it's probably a little bit longer.
Just carefully using your javelin, prodding the bump.
Yeah, not enough to like if it's a person stab them, but enough to like is there resistance? Does it hit something?
You prod, and you notice some resistance. It's a bit hard, but not hard like a rock. It's not moving.
Dythun turns to Rebus. It's just like, should we like dig it up?
Yes, allow me to help. That would be helpful.
All right, just start shoveling some snow away.
And you don't have to shovel, the two of you don't have to shovel a lot of snow away before you already see that this was a snow-covered body. At this point, stiff and lifeless.
Trying
Or
to
just-
uncover the face at that point.
Yeah, do recognize the person.
You do not. It is a person of Orcish descent. Most of the body at this point is frozen stiff. There's patches of frostbite covering the body. Some of it's so frozen that it's turned almost black on the corpse. The eyes pale, looking up in the sky. Torn crewman uniform. But you do not recognize the person, but you recognize the uniform. Similar to what the crew on the clear blue sky wore when you traveled on the ship. Though you don't recognize this specific person.
So, Dythun doesn't recognize it at that point.
No, but
Okay.
Rebus, for example, would at this point.
Perfect.
Looks like
Anything
one of the crew
useful?
members of the Darian's ship. Nobody I know, but they must have definitely crash landed somewhere here. I will go towards our patron to let her know what we found.
Dythun's gonna like go over the body once to see if there's any kind of like anything like, is there like a communication flare, maybe a sending stone, something that like this person might have a way to contact the rest of the crew.
Check up on the body.
Mhm.
The person is wearing like something like a tool belt. There's like a little belt with all these kind of little tools that one would need for maintenance on an airship, little screwdrivers. There's a bit of rope on there as well. Some like hooks that can be used to attach to things for safety purposes. But there's no kinds of like flares or sending stones. Just on the tool belt, also a little satchel with what looks like a few personal belongings, a little notebook, but no kind of communication device.
He'll probably take the notebook
Right?
and maybe call maybe call both of the Lyranders over to see if maybe it's like somebody either of them knew or recognized.
Alright, so Delphine, you and Madrith are both beckoned over, and you also see the corpse there. You don't recognize the person. Like, you do recognize the uniform, similar to what the people wore on Darian's ship, but you don't recognize the person. And Madrith also looks at the person. One of Darian's.
Not a friend or acquaintance of yours, then?
I knew a few people. Well, I know a few people on his crew, but not all of them.
Well, let's hope the rest of them fare better.
Does it look like as if he was thrown out, or like what from the damage he took?
Make an investigation check.
Investigation.
I think you still
I
have
have advantage. Yeah, one. Okay.
That's a straight roll, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
that's on a
Jack-
straight roll. Yeah, because you're still at
It's slowly going up. I have a 12.
12. It's hard to tell considering how much the snow has covered at this point and at what state the body is in. So you can only go by the information you have. And the information you have is that there's this crew member here out in the snow and the cold of a missing airship. So with that information, you can only assume that it might be from falling out of a ship, from crashing somehow here into the ground, but without having more time of thoroughly checking up the body or getting more information, you can't really say for sure.
Well, let's let him lay here. There's no use in dragging him with us.
Just
It's just dead weight. Literally.
if you don't mind, I'm going to cover them back up. It seems the least we can do for them. I'll just start like pushing some snow back over them, giving them like what form of a burial he can.
Dythun, you know we can't do this to every dead body you might find.
Well, I mean, the environment will do most of it for us, but if I brought them out, so I thought maybe put them back.
I'm just saying, we have quite limited time here.
I
And
could
it's not getting
execute then
better.
my plan to a smaller degree. I also have means to, by myself, see if anyone is thinking anything, perhaps thoughts of rescue.
In what range?
Not too far, but I can keep it up for about a minute, and if I keep moving and we gauge, this might be a good place to try.
Yeah, maybe.
My thought process is, it looks like something impacted. Maybe one of them fell out, and then things obviously didn't stop here. So maybe a little bit further ahead. If this person didn't make it, let's say we find another body 100 feet ahead, it's very unlikely they would have made it either. So I'd maybe save the magic.
Let us go further deeper in, and I will expend it nonetheless. Magic is a resource to be used.
Right, but very fair.
What you sketching?
Alright.
You can hear your pencil.
Dude's artist, man.
Just marking where their body is on the map that I have in my hand, totally.
Right. You, after Dythun covers the body up a little bit, you move further following what tracks you have. And Rayn, you said you wanted to use some spell?
Yes, if we get further in, where we see where we get further in when we see additional wreckage, maybe gauge like this might be a good place where maybe I don't know how much debris is around. Maybe they're underneath. Maybe they're dug in. I would, if it seems opportune, want to use detect thoughts, get myself away from the group, and while the concentration is up, try to see if I could get pings for intelligent life within 30 feet of me. Again, away from the group so they're not muddling my search. Let me expend that spell slot then. I walk away from them. I go into the
Yep.
thicket of the ruins.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
start looking for intelligent life.
So as you start moving, as you go further, following what trails you have, you do indeed notice, after about another 15-20 minutes of walking, there's more and more pieces of wreckage that you see. Some of it snow-covered, some of it sticking out of the snow. They're at first mostly small pieces, more pieces of wood, metal bars, some plating. But you also see parts of these sails that are attached to the back of an airship. Some of them are scattered around here. You see also more places where maybe the ship had impacted the ground and then bounced back up. More of these like holes in the ground. You keep following the trail, and Rayn meanwhile moves herself a bit away from the group, scanning the area for any kind of thought patterns, away from the party. at first, nothing that you pick up. And then you hear again behind you, Rayn, you hear, it's already silly that I have to come here again. What are you doing here? And you turn around, there he is again.
But you are not here. You
Am I
already
not?
did your grand. You already finished your grand mission. You came back with the biggest fangs I've ever seen in generations.
But you are here, and I seem to be in your mind, so I'm here. Oh, I'm also for something else here. Huh.
What are
And
you
then
here
he-
for then?
Vanishes again. You do notice something else at the edges of your Detect Thoughts spell. Like, way at the edges of that 30 feet of it.
I start walking towards it to get it stronger.
We're gonna die.
What you do notice as you walk towards it, you're getting closer to it.
Mhm.
And if I understand the spell correctly, you basically always pick up like these surface thoughts of things that you...
You can detect the presence of thinking creatures you can't see.
Mhm.
Once you detect the presence of a creature in this way, you can read its thoughts for the rest of the duration as described above, so the surface thoughts. It's the very last paragraph.
Concentration is kind of above.
A
If you
long
can't
spell.
see it, even if you can't see it, but it must... You do at this point, you can detect the presence of a mind, but you can't focus the spell on it. And as an avid user of this spell, you would kind of understand that it is because you know there's a presence there, but you can't see the target that you're trying to focus it on. But you know there is somewhere out here something, there is a mind that you detect.
Hello? I know you're here. I keep walking to where that presence is, even if I cannot read it.
Keep walking. You still notice
we
you're getting
hear-
closer.
Rayn calling out at that point.
I'm assuming you're not quiet when you do this, right?
I'm not like screaming at the top of my lungs past the wind, but I'm like making my presence known.
We hear her, I guess, just randomly talking 30 feet away.
Yeah, yeah.
You would still be able to hear her shouts. Not like exact words, but you would be able to hear her.
I think Dythun at that point would break into that 30 feet she was staying away from just to kind of get closer.
You're inconveniencing us very much with your crash, but we are here now. Please make yourself known.
As you say that, Rayn, you do notice that your spell, as it's only a minute, it starts coming to an end.
I start jogging in those last seconds.
Let me,
Yeah, let's do it. Let's make it exciting, guys. Or at least that's my philosophy.
Just a DM mumbling to himself. Nothing else.
I'm totally not looking up a stat block of a creature. Don't worry about it.
It's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing.
Tiamat stat block.
Did
So-
someone see Kraken?
Giant polar owl bear.
Rayn, you were like jogging back to the group?
No, towards the connection.
Ah, towards where you sense the presence. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right.
Because I know my spell's about to go up. So.
And Dythun, you were like moving over to Rayn, right?
Yeah, trying to close some of that distance.
Cool. can both of you give me perception checks, please?
Okay. I don't think either of us have cat advantage anymore, unfortunately.
Nope.
That rolled
12.
in a corner. Ooh. 21 that time.
21. Well, Rayn, you might be a bit too focused on the fact that you're trying to get to the location of where you sense the mental presence. And you don't notice it at first, but Dythun notices first. Like, as you approach Rayn, you feel this tremor in the ground beneath you.
Dythun just like shouts out, like, everybody, be alert. Something's here.
Something is here. There is a creature capable of intelligent thoughts, very nearby. Should be over there.
Can I see
Looks
anything
wherever she's pointing.
Rayn, you at this point also notice then, as you point, it should be over there, you notice, oh wow, the ground underneath you is shaking. Just briefly.
Did my books mention ground tremors? As a,
Well, there is actually something that both Rebus and Rayn would know regarding
Rayn
tremors.
would immediately kneel down, and I'm gonna stick my hand in the snow, and I want to see how wet it is underneath. Like, is it still cold down there, or am I getting slush? Is
You
it
just
warm?
stick your hand down into the snow?
My left hand, my non-dominant spellcasting hand.
You're not dominant.
The expendable one.
Yeah.
Are you a left-handed or right-handed spellcaster?
How about
You-
both?
You stick your hand down into the snow. At first, it's just cold and snowy, and as you stick it in, yeah, there's a layer of mushy, molten snow there.
I pull my hand out and I start running towards Dythun as if I'm tackling him further away. No explanation.
Okay.
You see Rayn running full towards you, and you, as Rayn runs,
Larry, I have to
Dythun,
drag you with me.
you
Oh yeah, if Rayn's running, he'll start running backwards, but like looking
and
at
you notice
where
that
she's
the
running
ground
from.
under your feet is shaking again. The rest of the party at this point, you also notice at your location, the ground is moving. And as you look over, you see that Rayn starts running, Dythun starts running, and then from behind them, you suddenly see the snow burst up, mingling with whatever kind of ground and rock is also burst out of the ground. And coming out of the ground, making itself big into the sky, is this blue worm-like creature with these insect-like legs coming out, frills on both sides of its body, these multifaceted eyes on its head, mandibles clacking, sweating with drool, but heat and steam rising from them. And you can see that the inside of the blue body is glowing with an orange-red lava-esque glow that comes from the inside. And you just hear this sound coming out of its mouth as it's easily towers 4 to 5 times larger than the largest person in your group. A strange insect worm creature looms over you and the party. So we're going to end the session there for today and pick up next week.
No!
Is there maybe like
How dare
another sound the creature makes, or anything
Well,
else
as
we hear?
As we basically have the shot, like you know this shot where like you see at the end of an episode, you see like all the heroes getting ready for the fight. The big monster stands there, looms over them. These end credits, they start rolling just to a Executive producers, Horde of Tales.
Oh,
Wonderful.
I love you people.
All right. Well,
It's what I thought it was. I'm glad my reaction was like the right one in
I
this case
hope-
mechanically.
I hope
Yeah.
that was an intelligent creature that you dragged.
No, it ought not to be, but that could also be there.
Intelligence 3 is the minimum for the spell.
So
Without
So,
says
yeah.
throw food to make friends, I agree.
All right,
That's
Rayn.
what he does. Wait, where's the rest of that body?
I did really like, Ida, the thing that you did with, like, I put my hand in the snow to check if it's molten. I was like, okay, yeah. That wraps up the foreshadowing for this kind of creature. Like, yep, all right, going in for it now.
Well, based on the history we developed for the Tritons, that would be the one thing she knows about what she. The primary threat that's been like fantasized about this island is that.
Yeah.
Everything else, we don't know the specifics, but because that one is so pertinent, I'm like,
Yeah.
if she knows that much, then that would be knowledge Triton warriors would do. But Rayn is like pulling at straws here and seeing this doofus-looking, chiseled chin, broad-shouldered Triton warrior popping up. It's like, what's he doing there?
We don't know.
And why is
Does
he
the creature
invisible to
have
you?
like? Yeah.
Does the creature have, like?
Does the creature have like lots of arms, like millipede style, or more like?
It
I don't know,
actually, it
like
has quite a
insect.
few of those. Yeah, it has quite a few of those. Because, yeah, millipede is not a bad comparison.
It could have been like this
Right.
giant worm, but with just two arms in front, like a worm dinosaur.
I'll get you, adventurers.
And then he offers us a quest.
All right. We're gonna find out how this encounter will wrap up for our party as they make their way across Ice White Isle, and we hopefully find out what that weird other person that pops up in Rayn's head is doing. But that's all the kind of questions that we have next week.
There weren't footprints, right, in the snow?
Nope, there were no footprints. No. You can think about this for an entire week now. And
I was so ready to battle. Oh my god.
Yes.
I hope I got I hope I prepared the right spells.
Oh.
Spell preparation, what's that?
Well,
next week we can start off with a battle, and
Yay.
we're gonna see how that goes.
I
But
get to put my level 4 feat to use.
gotta put all these level 4 characters to use then. But before we wrap up here, we want to first of all thank everyone who tuned in today and made it fun in the chat. Thanks for everyone for dropping by. Thanks for watching us have a little bit of fun here. Thanks to the players here. And we're going to be back here next week. Is there anything else, any other announcement we would like to share before we head out?
I do. I have it. It's happening. So back last year, in like summer of last year, I was hired to make some art for a card game, and the Kickstarter is coming out the 22nd of April. It's called Decaying Orbit. If you're into science fiction RPG style, I will put the link on the chat so you can read a little bit more about the game. But essentially, you play as an AI, because robots, we love them. Trying to prevent a ship from falling into a star. And you discover what happened to the ship and why the crew is not there, apparently, or why some systems are not working, and you discover the story of where you are as you're playing. And it's really cool. And I designed the 3 ships that are on the... Oh, you already put it. Okay, I had it already prepared, but you're faster. I designed the 3 ships that are on the game, and I'm very excited about this. I think it's a really, really cool game. It's totally my kind of game, so I can't wait to actually pledge on the Kickstarter, and it's part of a combination of. So the Kickstarter is not just for this game; it's also for another card game. So check that one out as well, and you can see what it will be about. The art is also beautiful, and it's done by the same people that made this game. So it's also a really cool game. Yeah, just go to the link, see if it's a thing you're interested in, and remember to check it out again in 2 days so you can go to the Kickstarter and help us.
Exactly.
It'll be fun.
It looks really cool.
I have something as well. So last year I've worked with some pretty cool artists and the creators together for a Fae supplement, Children's and Champions of the Fae. And I wrote one of the races in there with like backstory, subclass, all these things. And we reached now a silver bestseller. And wish letters. Thank you. And we got now an additional race in the Wolfolio. Satyrs just got added to it as like a bonus for reaching that thing. So, and if you're looking for something pretty cool with like a lot of content that you can use to expand your game, like any game, not only your Fae games. So this is the way to go, and it's totally pretty. It's wonderful. It's nice. So yeah. This is pretty cool.
The Children's and Champions of the Fae, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, that link is in the chat already. Great, yeah, super cool supplement. So if you need something for your Fae and Feywild inspired stuff, definitely check it out.
Also, an extra thing. This might be a long shot, but if any of you are in Germany, or we're planning to come to Germany in the vicinity of Leipzig. That's why I'm saying it with like some weeks in advance, just in case someone is just considering traveling. On the 7th, Saturday, 7th of May, I will be tabling as an artist with all my prints and my stuff at the Lange Nacht der Computerspiele, which is the long night of the video games, where you can play games all day until like midnight. All kinds of games, from arcade and joystick games to VR, like super new technology video games. And it's gonna be really fun. So, 7th of May. If you were wondering, oh, maybe I should go check out Leipzig, that's the weekend to do it.
It's a wonderful city.
In case you are in the beautiful city of Leipzig in Germany and you would like to see that, there's a link in the chat as well to it. So,
how are you so quick in finding the links?
The magic. Also, to wrap up for today and to solve the mysterious case of the pizza.
Finally!
So that you can finally go to bed and sleep peacefully. It was kind of like a group effort. It was like, so I was talking with Ada like, hey, how about we are sending Marcus a pizza, and you know where he lives, so can you order it? And I've sent her the money for it. She ordered it.
And I contacted Mrs. Dutch individual, and
yes.
she was in on.
She was on our side. Thumbs up to her.
Aww.
So that.
But that's adorable.
That's so nice. Thank you. But you don't have to. But it's still very nice. So kind.
You deserve all the pizza.
We got a few subscribers, and I'm keeping a tight hand around the money that we have for projects and everything. So, and I think like, okay, Saria got something, Austin got something. No, you get something. Next one is Ada. I'm not saying what I'm planning for her.
I have to move very fast. So Marcus,
undisclosed location.
I have to move very fast.
Somewhere to an uninhabited island in some distant thunder sea.
and without just subscribe, which is totally nice, and thank you so much for this.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a very good, very delicious pizza.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we just got another one. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you very
for
much
all
for
the
that.
awesome people. Oh, I have something relevant also for all the awesome people that are joining us. I mentioned this last week, I'll mention it again, that I am collaborating with a group known as Roll for Good, and they are a European-based TTRPG community, and we are having a charity stream in May, at the end of May. I have the link ready. And we are going to have, and there's going to be a variety of TTRPG games. So there's D&D, there's D&D in space, there's Call of Cthulhu, there's Fiasco, there's a game with
Nice.
corgi racing,
Crazy.
and we are looking for players to join this wonderful diverse cast of GMs, and everything we're going to be raising will be sent to the organization known as World Central Kitchen, and they are an organization that goes and feeds first responders and anyone in need, particularly in humanitarian disaster zones, in environmental disaster areas. They are doing a lot of work in Ukraine itself, and also on the peripheral countries receiving refugees. They're an amazing organization, because when there's not much you feel you can do, when you're not a doctor, when you're not a soldier, when you're not a firefighter, when you're not a therapist, something we can all do is feed each other and like give each other that respite of a warm cooked meal with their nutrition in mind, with their culture in mind. And that's what World Central Kitchen sets out to do. So we're looking for players. There's a link I sent up there, and you can sign up, and hopefully you will join us on May 28th and 9th. So please join us.
Exactly. Right. All right. All right. Well, with those announcements, I think
Announcements.
I think it's time for us to practice pronunciation again, and also wind down for today. So once again, thanks everyone for joining today. Thanks to everyone playing, and we will be back same place, same time for episode 20 next week on Tuesday.
With
So,
400 subs, please. I mean, followers. Well, subs would be great. But followers would be great too.
Could
you
you
never know what happens.
imagine?
Thanks everyone.
TTRPG family, let's go.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and see you next time at Horde of Tales.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.